the weekend, which means Premier League football is back. 12:30 today, first game, and 16:30 Sunday evening. Tottenham Hotspur versus Newcastle United. Let's get the preview show on the road. Good afternoon and welcome to PRTvSpurs and Paxton Road TV. All your Tottenham Hotspur preview, reviews, reaction shows, you name it, we've got it covered. We've just finished doing the reaction show from the West Ham United game on Thursday. Now we move on to Newcastle. The tsunami is coming to the city of London. Can Spurs bounce back? Joining me to preview the game is, as always, my two compatriots, Mr. Sam Spurs for Life and Mr. Sean Earl. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Are we ready? Are we ready for another game? Another game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and another very, very, very important game. And in my opinion, I think you guys said it as well, a must-win game on Sunday against Newcastle United. So, what's the know-how? What's happening in the world of Tottenham Hotspur, and what would have been said in the changing rooms, in the press conference, and also at the training ground, Sam?
I haven't seen the press conference, so probably Sean will be able to talk more about that. I'll just go on my thoughts based on what I've seen from the previous game. Ange has said, do I expect changes? Ooh, I think there will be changes. I think there will be possibly personnel changes. I think Sarr will come into the team. Basuma, again, is probably going to play, but he's if I was his manager, I'd be telling him, listen, you're better than what you've been showing over the last few matches. You need to come to the party. You've got your partner back in Sarr. And Lo Celso, again, I think he'll be in that midfield area. It's the front three that's going to be a bit tricky for me in terms of where you play personnel. As we talked about yesterday, do you play Brennan Johnson on the right, Kulishevsky on the left? This is decisions I'll be making. But obviously, Ange's going to make completely different ones. And I suspect there won't be too much tinkering. I think the midfield three will be, as I've said, and I think we'll probably go with a Kulishevsky, Johnson, Son front three.
Mr. Hurley, the man rocking the T-shirt. Show everyone your T-shirt, your management team. Look, Mr. Hurley is rocking his management team at Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. Sean, have you seen the press conference? Is there anything different?
Yeah, well, the difference was that it was actually yesterday at lunchtime at 12 noon actually.
Yeah.
And the players hadn't even been into training. They were doing, because obviously they were given the morning off after the night before, and they were training at 2:00. From just listening to Ange and also watching Ali Gold's long screen on YouTube last night. Very angry Ange, a very, very angry Ange. I think that came over in his post-match stuff, and it carried on the next day as well. So I think the players will have been left in no doubt that Thursday was totally unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. He says, good football for me is being 3 or 4 goals up when you're in charge of a game like we were on Thursday night. So, I think he will be looking at some changes. I still think that Sarr's maybe not quite there, but you just never know. I do think personnel will be changed, and some players will be told, you've got to up your game. He certainly talked at length about Brennan Johnson, but we could get into that in the rest of the show.
Does he now need to? Do we now need to become an episode of EastEnders where Ange plays Ange, And Daniel Levy's now going to be Dirty Daniel Levy. Dirty Dan. Because it's getting to that stage now, isn't it? You know, but right. So, like I said to you guys, massive game tomorrow. The two Norma are in town. So, let's get the road on the shore. Or get the shore on the road, as they say, with the usual 56 times we've met, and Tottenham Hotspur have won. This is interesting. Tottenham Hotspur have won 24. Newcastle United have won 24. We've won 15 at our stadium. They've beaten us 11 times. 9 at St. James's. And they've beaten us 13 times at St. James's with 8 draws. 24 wins apiece, Sam. So it's nice and even for a change.
Yes, even, but they did a double over us last season,
Yep.
so that's not a good start to proceedings. I think we've probably, if as strange as it may sound, we've probably got Newcastle at the right time. I know we've had a poor run, but they are, in terms of what they've got to do, they've still got to focus on Champions League in midweek. They've also got significant injuries. Their front lineup isn't as strong as they would like it, and they played a lot of games. On the back of a 3-0 to Everton as well, away from home. Their away record this season hasn't been fantastic.
Yeah.
I would hope that all plays into going into tomorrow's game. But yeah, the record suggests that it's going to be tight. I've seen us give Newcastle a good beating. I've seen them give us a good beating. And as I said, last season, they did a double over. So we need to make amends.
Yeah. Sean, 24 apiece, 15 at home. They've won 11 away. So it's not a foregone conclusion, is it? It looks like both teams are getting points of each other. So it'll be an interesting game.
I mean, I think it speaks to the status of both clubs. That, you know, we're big clubs, but we're about on a par with each other. You know, in terms of trophies won and you know, where we've been in the past and all sorts. You know, I mean, we're a good match, and as Sam has alluded to, we were on the end of a terrible result last season. But we've also handed hidings to them in the past as well. It'll be interesting to see what team they put out. They've obviously got one eye on their Champions League game in the week.
Must-win game as well.
Yeah, they have to win that. And they're playing with their second-string goalkeeper.
Yeah.
So I want to see us really take the game to them, you know.
Yeah. And meetings between Tottenham Hotspur and Newcastle, 4th of April 2021, it was 2-2. 17th of October 2021, Spurs won 3-2 at St. James's. 3rd of April 2022, we all remember that one, 5-1 at the Hotspur Stadium. And then these are the ones we don't want to remember. We lost 2022 at our stadium 2-1. And then 23rd of April, we got absolutely spanked. So 2 wins, 2 draws, and 2 wins, 2 losses, and a draw. And I'll bring the next slide on as well. So our home record against them is,
I think it's pretty good, apart from that last one.
Yeah, 2019 we lost 1-0. Joe Linton. 2020 1-1.
Oh, it's not as good as I thought.
No. 3rd of April 2022 we won 5-1. Where every
it's
single
definitely not as good as I thought.
It's not. And 2022, there we go. So 1-1, drawn 1, and lost 2. Sean.
Yeah, I mean,
meetings, 2 wins, 2 draws, 2 losses, 1, and then we've only beaten them once in the last 4 at home.
Yeah, there's obviously a gap there, isn't there? I mean, you're going back to, I'm sure the Joe Linton game was that not under Mauricio Pochettino?
I think it was 2019.
Yeah, and I seem to remember it was one of those games where they basically parked on the edge of their penalty area, had one chance which they took, and they won 1-0. And their keeper had an absolute worldie. So it's probably not as good looking as it could be, but
Mm-hmm.
You know, historically, as I say, we're quite evenly matched. I would say that we should be favourites at home. With, you know, the fact that we've got a slightly stronger squad in terms of the injuries. But, you know, they're a very tough team to break down, or they have been a tough team to break down. I think their threat comes from up front, though. I think if they're going to match us, you know, it's going to be the fact that they're very strong up front.
Yeah.
And their defence is a little bit weaker than normal. So we need to pull out all the stops up front. And obviously, this is the thing that we talked about at length.
Yeah. And what I'm just laughing at, what's the point, FC? Effing hell. That's nothing to write home about when Doherty, Royal, and Bergwijn score against you at home in that 5-1. Sam, you was very confident we had a good record, and then you started seeing this and you went, not very good.
No, it was just a bit clouded because I know that there's been, if you go back further, there's been better results than that.
Yeah.
I also think with this, you have to put this into context. Last year was last year. Roles reversed in terms of Newcastle were definitely out there. We're chasing Champions League, all the rest of it. I know that was an early part of the season when we lost 2-1, but certainly the second game that we played against them, they totally annihilated us. You always have to look at the recent form of currently what's happening in both clubs. If you ask me, I'd prefer to have played them the Sunday after they played their Champions League game, win, lose, or draw in that. It would have meant a little bit more of an advantage for us. We should be going into tomorrow's game as the bookies' favourites because, as Sean said, we're at home. And yeah, we've got a slightly better squad at this moment in time. I think the games probably will be won in wide areas tomorrow. Gordon, if he does play, will be on that left-hand side for Newcastle up against Porro. And Porro is going to probably be one of our main attacking outlets from a attacking perspective tomorrow from that right-hand side. So that's going to be a good battle. The midfield, I think our midfield should be stronger. I do think Sarr will start. The reason I'm saying that about Sarr is because he's young, for one thing. I don't think he was out for too long. He didn't have surgery as far as I'm aware. I know that Richarlison obviously had surgery. He's come back. So again, I think Ange's going to have to take some risks tomorrow with tomorrow's selection because I don't think COYS should be the one to play.
We'll talk about that.
I'm just looking at Gil as being somebody that I don't think's quite physically ready for a game like this tomorrow. But I might be wrong.
Yeah, we'll talk about the team lineup in the next couple of slides. But you just said we should be favourites. Looking at that, last 5 games, I wouldn't put us favourites. 4 losses and a draw. They've won 3 and they've lost 2. Yes, they got beat by Everton on Thursday. We got beat by West Ham. But if you're a neutral and you're looking at that, you're not.
Look at their away record. Look at their away record in the last 2 games. They haven't scored. I know our home record in the last 3 games is not good, but we've played well in all those games. You add the combination up, just from a statistical perspective, to lose 4 games on the trot for us would be almost unthinkable. For them then to just suddenly come out and start scoring 4 goals away from home, again, should be unthinkable based on the fact that they've got that midweek game, as I said.
Yeah. Sean, are we going in this game as favourites? I hear what Sam's saying, that their away record's not very good, but we've lost the last 3 home games. So are we really favourites going into tomorrow's game?
I think we're probably favourites just on the fact that it's a home game, as Sam has indicated.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, obviously, we've had some setbacks at home, but you know that most of them have been explainable, particularly when you look at the Chelsea one. So, yeah, I think slight favourites. I mean, it'll be a very even game, but both teams, you know, with potential to score, could be a few goals in it. Wouldn't surprise me, but I just want to see more of them being picked out of the net by Dubravka rather than Vicario, to be honest. Could do with a clean sheet, for example.
I totally agree.
The one thing I want to ask both of you.
Yep.
Aston Villa came to our place with high expectations in terms of the way they played. They hadn't really won away from home, but the way they played suggests that they were going to be open and attacking, which they were in the first half, but second half they changed completely. From what I've seen of Newcastle this season in the last couple of games, they've been pretty open. I know the personnel's allowed them to be even more so. But do you think they're going to come to our stadium tomorrow and absolutely try to win the game, or are they going to think, hold on? Because they would have seen, again, I'm looking at managers who have got some sort of, nous about them, tactical nous. And what's his name? Eddie Howe's one of them. I'm not sure what kind of game they're going to come with. And that's what's confusing me. Are they going to come to really put it on us? Or are they going to have a bit of a mix, sit back a little bit? Or are they going to just mix and match? I don't know. That's going to be the interesting thing tactically tomorrow, what happens.
I believe Eddie Howe plays similar to Postecoglou, where he wants to win every game he plays. He's got the players that can win games. I don't think he's defensive minded. I think they're going to come tomorrow to win the game because, like you said, their away record is appalling. They've just got beat by Everton. They've not won away game, couple of games. They'll want to win because winning tomorrow against Spurs, who haven't won a game in 3 at home, will be a massive, massive boost for them going into the Champions League game in midweek, because they don't want to be going into that on another loss, because then the pressure's on him. The players will be all deflated. So I think he's going to come out. He's watched probably Villa game. He's probably watched the West Ham game. And I think he's got a plan in place. And I think he'll come to attack.
Sean,
I don't know
what's your thoughts? I was going to say, I was going to ask Sean the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, if it was his full strength team, I think he would maybe they would maybe start cautiously, but then grow into the game. Because his defence is somewhat weakened, I think they will probably. I think they'll probably try and come at us quite early on and to try and win the game early, and then maybe use their substitutions to sort of save players for Wednesday night. Just my thoughts, but it's hard to tell. It's really hard to tell. Injuries, and what Newcastle's priorities are difficult to tell. Do they really want to be in the Champions League? Probably yes, in terms of finances, but they're going along well in the league, so we'll see.
So I said, sorry,
go on, Sam, carry on.
Based on those thoughts that both of you said, I think they're going to probably play. I wouldn't say a weakened team, but I certainly think they're probably going to rest a couple of players for their game Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever it is. That might play into our hands or play against us, because obviously the players that will then come in will want to perform. And I've seen what they've done. They've played 17-year-olds. They play players that haven't played for bloody months and months upon end at Newcastle. So I think it's going to be tough from that perspective that they're going to come at us. But Angie's going to have to tell these players, I don't care what you lot do, we're going to have to win this game. So I expect it to be very open. I also expect us to be playing everything up to that 96th, 95th, 94th minute. If we're losing, whatever the scenario is, we're going to have to go for this game. And I think it's going to be very open. So, yeah, it's interesting when we're going to come to the scores, what we're predicting.
And Newcastle have to win on Wednesday or Tuesday in the Champions League, because at the moment they sit third.
And I think that'll be their priority.
Yeah,
I personally think that'll be their priority, because they could look at this as a free hit for them.
Yeah.
I know that they could look at it and think, right, Spurs have lost the last 3 at home. But in all, if you weighed it up in the whole balance of things, you wouldn't expect them to think that they were favourites to come to our place and take points. I know last season they did, but I think it's a different season with the Champions League. So I think it's a positive for us that they have got this Champions League, but we have to be careful. We do have to be careful.
And the other thing as well is they're level on points with Milan, right? Both of them. If they don't win that game, right, they don't qualify for Champions League knockout, and they don't qualify for the Europa League, because fourth doesn't get you Europa League. So, like you said, what's their priorities? Do they go all out to win that game on midweek to get into Europa League, or do they just think, you know what, forget it, we might as well not interested, we'll get knocked out of Europe completely? So it's going to be a very, very interesting, because they can't qualify. Well, they can if PSG lose, they can go second. But
yeah, that's not.
Yeah, so it's a massive. It's going to be very interesting season so far. Then, guys, it was really good at the beginning. So Spurs are 5th, Newcastle are 7th. Spurs have won 8, Newcastle have won 8. 3 draws to 2 losses, 4 losses to 5 losses to Newcastle. Average goals is going down for us now, 1.93, 2.13 for them, even though they've lost quite a lot of their attack. 1.47 average goals conceded per match. They're conceding 1.13. So even with some of the defenders out, they're still not conceding as many. 4 clean sheets, 6 for Newcastle. Again, difference there. 2.13 chances created. They're creating 2.47. Ours is slowly going down, but we're still in the 2s. Biggest win 5-2. Their biggest win was 8-0. Our biggest loss was 4-1. Their biggest loss was 3-0 against Everton. Sam.
It's an open game. That suggests it's an open game. They're an attacking team. As I said, I've seen a few of their games, most recently the ones that they've played away from home, and they seem to they're throwing caution to the wind because I think of the injury situation. I think that they are going to be prioritizing Champions League, but the players, as I've mentioned, that will come in are going to go for it. It's going to be very, very interesting. It's interesting. The chances created per match for both teams, that suggests an end-to-end game to me.
Yeah. Sean?
Yeah, it'd be intriguing to see the clean sheets. I imagine all of them are down to Dick Pope, are they?
Yes.
Yeah.
The doctor's only just come in 1 game.
Yeah, so that definitely changes things. We're not scoring enough goals. Well,
No.
I mean, that's the mantra, isn't it? I mean, that's exactly what we said. You score a second goal on Thursday, you win the game. Simple as that.
Yeah, game was over. 2-0 at half time. You can't. Well, I say you can't. We've seen it. 3-2s against us before, winning 2-0 at half time. But in general play, in general statistics, looking over the whole of the Premier League, 2-0 at half time, you shouldn't lose a game.
Yeah, I totally agree. So, going in team-wise, guys, obviously, we've said, I mean, this is what I predict, right? I know we've discussed Saw. I know we've discussed Basuma, Højbjerg's. Again, look, it's Royal again. I changed it, but for some reason, this is not working. I don't know. Anyway.
Telling you something, mate. It's telling me something.
It's telling me something. And I did change it yesterday, but this is... I think Saw comes in tomorrow. I think Saw comes in. Kulusevski and Johnson, I think, will swap sides. And so I think Son is 50%, right? But I think he'll be fine.
I forgot about Son. I did forget about Son.
He's 50%, but I think... I don't know if you said anything about it, Sean, in the press conference, but I believe he should be okay. But for me...
Yeah, he didn't indicate any issues other than the usual long-term injury. So he said, he got a bit of a crack on the back or something, but he expected Son to be available.
Sol will come in because I think he can't have another Højbjerg performance for me on Thursday. So I think, because I'm sure he said before the West Ham game that Sol's not 100% to start West Ham, but should be okay for Newcastle. So I think Sol comes in.
I'm just looking at his body language when he was discussing it. I didn't feel he said, we've got 10 minutes or whatever out of Sarr on Thursday, but it's not. I didn't get the impression that it would be they'd go from 10 minutes to starting the next game.
Well, Sam,
I've got a slightly different view because the way that Ange does his substitutes, he looks to be quite consistent in them. I know there's been the odd occasion when it's not been, but it's around about, as you said, between that 60 and 70 minutes. I think a player who was injured but hasn't been significantly injured for a long time, the age he is, they might want to protect him. That might be a different thing, but I know you could definitely play that certain length of time. Excuse me.
It is a hamstring, by the way.
Yeah, I just don't think they would have taken any chances putting him on the bench if they thought that there was any chance of, because hamstring, if you've got a hamstring injury and you know anything about it, it can go literally from the first minute to the 90th when you just try and sprint. So I think he's in a shape to be able to play. And I think if that's the case, I would start him and get 60 minutes out of him. And then you can bring on a a Højbjerg, then you can bring on a Skip potentially. You can maybe change things around. But I think to get the best out of Basuma at this moment in time, without James Maddison in there, I think Sarr needs to be in there because Sarr gives you that work rate. I don't think you're going to get that out of Højbjerg. We've seen you're not going to get that out of Højbjerg. And then you have to play a different game. We have to be attacking tomorrow because of all those factors that we've talked about earlier. And we've got to get 2 goals as soon as we can because the one... anyway. Zen moment again. I've got to calm down.
But in terms, Sean, in terms of the forward line, right? Do you think now Postecoglou will put Johnson on the right, Kulu on the left, or does he? And I'm only just saying this. I'm not. Don't shoot me. Does he then put Son on the left, Johnson on the right, put Kulu where Sarr is, and go with Richarlison up top? A gamble. I don't know. What he's got plenty of options tomorrow, but what's the best fit for tomorrow's game?
Do you know what? I might well be tempted to play Richarlison tomorrow because he's an awkward bugger.
Yeah.
And I think when you're up against the man mountains of their defence, obviously I'm not certain who's available and who's not available. I just think he can be a nuisance, and where you play him is up to hands. I mean, he did play him on the left, for example, in the Liverpool game, and Son went through the middle, and you could have Johnson. You could then have Johnson on the right, bring Kulu into it, one of the 8s.
Yeah.
But it's I get a feeling from listening to Ali Gold that that's an option. It wouldn't surprise me to see Richarlison starting tomorrow.
Because we've seen last couple of games, right? We're creating, we're not finishing. Right? Okay, Richarlison should have scored that goal the other day, the header. But for me, I think it is an option to pull him up top, put Son on the left, put Johnson on the right, and try it that way. Put Kulu where Sarr is. Why not? Why can't we have Sarr? Why can't we have Kulu and Lo Celso in front of Basuma?
We can. I think that's a good possibility.
Yeah.
I don't think Basuma's playing well enough to cover that number 6 position without us, having a detriment to our defence. Our defence isn't at its strongest at this moment in time. I know Romero's back, but I think one of the reasons why we've been conceding goals and why is because I don't think we've had enough protection at that back. And I know that the goals have come from silly errors, but from what I've seen, there seems to be a lot more getting at players. And we need to protect that back 2, back 4, whatever you want to say, as much as possible. I also think if you play Sarr and then you play, you play Kulusevski and you play Lo Celso, and then you play Richarlison in there, of those 3 then, Kulusevski, Son and Johnson, who do you drop? Do you drop Johnson in terms of that sense?
No,
sorry, you wouldn't. You put him on the right hand side. That's what no, right. Sorry, apologies. Yeah. Because Kulusevski's in that middle position. Yeah. So that is probably there's a chance. I just don't know if I want to see. I want to see Richarlison get a goal, but as he.
So, question, Sam.
I don't know.
I'm going to put you on the spot then. Do you want to see this lineup that was against West Ham and exactly the same thing happening in the first half? Chance.
Do I want to see the starting lineup for West Ham? No, I don't.
Yeah, the starting line for the West Ham. Chances created. We don't take them. Shots were poor. Or would you like him to shake it up a little bit and do what I sort of suggested with Kulu there, Johnson on the right, and then Richarlison up top?
Couple of things in that then for me. Because they haven't had much time to be able to prepare for this, they've had a game that was obviously midweek, and that was Thursday. Day off yesterday. There's not going to be much time to tactically do all these sort of things. So I don't think he's going to make too many changes to disrupt patterns of play that he's already established. So the only real change is possibly to swap them wingers over that I would make, because that's not going to disrupt things too much. If you start pulling him there to pull him back there to pull, then you're starting to affect the flow of the game. I think the only big change I think is going to be this. Potentially the Sarr one for Højbjerg.
Sean,
can I make a proposal?
Go for it.
Completely left field here. Basuma doesn't start.
Do you know what,
That's a
Sean?
bit cool.
Basuma
I
doesn't
was-
start.
Yeah,
I was thinking that.
Saar takes his place.
Yes.
As the 6.
Yes.
Kulu, Lo Celso. That
Yes.
gives creates room for Richarlison and one of the front 3 places. Or you could have, this is even more left field. You could have Skip as a 6 because that's the role he played at Norwich City.
Yeah.
So I just think Basuma he's just been disappointing.
Yeah.
Correct.
And I just wonder whether this might be, because one thing Ange made clear in his press conference, and I urge you go and see it, Sam, if you get a chance. He said it's not going to be comfortable. It's not going to be comfortable for any of these players.
Of course.
While I'm here, it will never be comfortable. So Basuma might be feeling comfortable that he's the only one who can do the 6. If he just decides, and he's talked about Saar as a 6. Other people have talked about Skip as a 6. So possibly he drops the bombshell on Eve and says, "Look, mate, you need to get your head back in your head. You know, you're not playing like you were. You know, he's not the same player like that took on Arsenal single-handedly at the Emirates, is he?"
Yeah.
As I said, sorry, go on, Sid.
I was going to say my only concern is what you said, Sam. It's 2 days after a game. He's not had enough time to sort that formation, put them players in them positions. Is he going to take such a big risk after 2? If it was a week's gap, I can see it happening, because then you play that player, you do it in training, you see how it goes. Let's do it. In 2 days, I don't see him doing that personally.
Yeah, and because of the fact that they would have probably had these different matchups in training, and they probably would have been able to see that. But the fact is, we're on the back of a bad run. They haven't had that enough time to really prepare. So mentally, so this game tomorrow is all about mental toughness. If we aren't mentally tough tomorrow, we will not win that game, regardless of what we do. Because when you look at football, it's confidence based. Look what Arsenal did. They scored the last minute of that game. They're probably flying into this Villa game today. Do you know what I mean? We, off the back of the Manchester City game, should have been doing exactly the same going into the West Ham game. And we did for the first half, but we didn't get the goals. So tomorrow is all important. Everything needs to come together, because we've got a team that, if we let them and we allow them, we'll get confidence, because they've had recent results against us and they know that they can score goals. And yeah, they had a bad day at Everton. They haven't had great away success.
Yeah.
But with Spurs, it's Spurs. Every team will probably say it's Spurs.
Absolutely. Before we move on to the main question, I just want to show you this bit, actually, guys. People keep saying Spurs have got a lot of injuries, which we have. Perisic, Bentancur, Van de Ven, Maddison, Sessegnon, Solomon, Eric Dyer, Whiteman. Look at theirs. Pope, Murphy, Byrne, Wilson, Anderson, Longstaff, Botman, Willock, Barnes, Manquillo, and Matt Target. They've got a hell of a lot of players out. You could probably make a freaking good team out of both them, out of that injuries on both of them. So it's a lot of injuries between both them sides. I don't know if I think Newcastle have got the most injuries, I think, in the whole Prem so far. But we're not far behind them as well. But look at the quality of players that we're missing.
So I would say defensively, Nick Pope and Sven Botman is a big miss for them, and Dan Burn. So that's 3 of their back 4 that they would normally have out. We're missing just Van de Ven now. Now it's a significant miss, and obviously Maddison's a significant miss. But they've got some Callum Wilson. You know what I mean? He's been scoring for fun. Willock's been doing well. Harvey Barnes, we haven't seen him all season, but he's a player that will definitely get into that starting 11. Murphy's another one. So we have no excuses tomorrow. This is what I'm saying. It's a mental game tomorrow. Everything's mental tomorrow. Everything from this point is a mental approach from Ange Postecoglou, and he has to get them players mentally up for this challenge tomorrow.
Yeah. Sean, it looks quite interesting reading, doesn't it? It's
I didn't realise. I thought Callum Wilson had played in the last game.
No, he's injured.
No. All right, okay. So that is a tough call. But you know, there's obviously a team spirit has really been fostered by Eddie Howe because of the players that have stepped up. You know,
Yeah.
even the 17-year-old that came in,
Miley.
played out the skin. So yeah,
And
we need. You know, we shouldn't. I mean, Anne just said, "I'm not having injuries as an excuse. I'm not having it." He said, "Even we should be, if we play like I asked them to play, then we should be winning more games than we lose." And and you can look at the Wolves game in particular recently. We should have won that game, for example. So it's as Sam has indicated, it's a mental game. I'm hoping we can just rise to the occasion. I'm expecting us to rise to the occasion.
I'm
expecting 3 points tomorrow.
Put it this way: had it been at St. James's Park, I would be absolutely bricking it, because that would be a tough place, given our record there and given the fact that we're on that run. They're brilliant up there, and them fans would drag them over the line. So yeah, we're blessing that we got it at our place, and we've got to do exactly the same as fans.
I agree. What's the point, FC? Your question here, which players would you like to sign in January then you think would improve our team? We'll do that show later on. Might do it on Christmas Day, might do it before, but we'll talk about that at no point. Right, now brings me on to...
There's this striker who plays for Bayern Munich. He looks pretty good.
There isn't there? Yeah, isn't he the best player in the world at the moment?
He is the best player in the world now.
But he wasn't at Spurs though, was he? When he was at Spurs, he wasn't the best player in the world.
Anyway.
Right. Anyway, prediction, guys. Prediction for tomorrow's game. And listen, none of this, my head, my heart. I want honest opinion. Yes, we're all Spurs fans. We're loyal Spurs fans. But say it how it is. Say it, see it, sort it, as they say on the underground when you're riding the tube. What is your prediction tomorrow, Sean?
It's going to be a high-scoring 4-3 victory for Spurs.
4-3. What? We can't score more than one goal. Even score 4.
I'm hoping it could be anything to score, but I hope it's not 4-3 because I don't feel I could deal with that. To be honest.
Dino, look, I think Dino agrees with you. The scoreline could be anything. 4-3. Then who's getting the goals for you, Sean?
Destiny or Doggy's going to get a couple.
Oh, a couple.
To make up for Thursday night.
Okay.
Yes, one of the midfielders, Lo Celso.
Okay, fair enough. That's 3.
Well, any one of the front 3 could get the other goal.
Cool. Sam.
Ange's going to have these players laser focused for tomorrow. He's going to want no errors. He's going to want no silly mistakes. So the players are going to play under a bit of pressure. Now, this is where he said he's going to be making the difference. He's given the players enough information to be able to apply and take this pressure. So I think we're going to be so focused that we're going to score them goals, and I think we're going to win 3-1 tomorrow. I don't think Newcastle can win. Obviously, they can win. I don't think Newcastle's priority is this game personally, and I think they could use this as a free hit. So they will just come out to play. If they win, they win. If they lose, they lose. It's not detrimental, I don't think, to the rest of their season. So 3-1 Spurs, goal scorers. I think the front 3 have to prove something. Son's got to score tomorrow. I'm going to get a goal, and I'm gonna go with not Richarlison, no chance, no chance, Richarlison. Are you having a laugh?
I think you know what that's called.
That's
called the Pav syndrome. Because Pav's not here, what's the point? FC's losing it.
He's lost it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Look at that chance he missed on the other night. And I tell you what, he did really well to get his head on the bloody ball, let alone put it in the net, towards the goal.
Yeah.
Because it's right over him. It's going over him.
Yeah.
He's falling backwards as he's trying to get to the bloody ball. So, yeah, why not? Why not, Richie?
He's serious as well. He's serious. So, Sam, you're saying 3-1?
Yeah, Johnson, Son, one of the midfielders. Lo Celso. I think because we've got to take shots from outside the box. So Lo Celso is probably our best striker from outside the box currently.
I think they should name Lo Celso Son. So then you can have Lo Celso Son, Richarlison, Johnson, and Son. Anyway, I agree what you're saying, Sam. I think for Newcastle, Wednesday or Tuesday is very, very important because it's a must.
It's going to be Wednesday, boys, because they would never play a Sunday game if they were playing Tuesday.
Yeah. So it'll be massive, massive for them. That's a massive game because money and everything and getting into the knockout stages. So I think tomorrow's game is going to be a free hit for them. However, I can see them scoring because we can't clean sheet. We can't keep clean sheets, period. And that first 15, 20 minutes, if you're right, Sean, if they come at us, we're going to have to be at our best. At our best, because remember last season, they killed that game in 25 minutes, weren't it? 5-0. Yeah, so...
Yeah, we won't see that because we gave up in that game. Yeah. And we'll never let these players give up. And if we were to see that, then I think that we know that those players are not good enough and they'd have to just be dismantled. Mentally, this is as I said, you're going to go in this game thinking these players are going to have to fight for everything. Yeah.
And I think it depends on the team that starts. I don't want to see Richarlison. I don't want to see Kulu on the right. I want to see Johnson on the right. But I think Spurs, I think we'll win 2-1. I can't see us scoring more than 2. I just can't see it because they're just lacking confidence in front of that goal. And unless we start shooting or whatever, I'm going with a 2-1 win, but my head is saying something else. But I'm going with a 2-1 anyway. So Spurs to win 2-1. I just hope we turn up tomorrow and I think we finish the job because we lose again tomorrow, which will be the 4th home on the bounce. I know people don't want to hear it, but they're gonna start coming because apparently they're already coming for Postecoglou on social media. People want him out, which is absolutely ridiculous. Man, 6 months into his job, it's not even his team. He's injury savaged, playing good football. We're just not getting the results. It will come. It will come. You know, everyone's saying Spurs have found out. Sean, Sam, I don't know if Sean was saying before the game, they're doing a stream. What did it say? What did it say, Sean?
Yeah. Our friends from MUA are doing a stream saying Ange Postecoglou's tactics found out. I don't understand why. Why are they not interested? They got their own problems, you know. Anyway.
It's an agenda.
It's an agenda.
Like I said, everybody. I'm going to go back to my phrase I did yesterday. Everybody's seen the future in them first 10 games. They are scared. If we get it right and we were to have our first 11 and all the rest of the backup, we'd be a frightening prospect, and we have proven that. So it's good that they're getting all the ridiculing now and saying, "Oh, he's been found out." But to be fair, West Ham's manager David Moyes said it best in that first half. It didn't matter what they did; they couldn't get near us in terms of the ball. So even if they knew what our tactics were, they weren't able to do it because it's so good when it's right and when it happens and it functions in the right way. But we have to take advantage of that. And the only way to take advantage of that to make teams not come out is to score them 2 goals now. 2 goals we need in that.
Fill that onion bag.
Yeah, we have to, man. 100%.
Absolutely. Right. Thank you very much, everyone in the comment section. Thank you for all your comments. If you haven't already subscribed to PRTvSpurs or Paxton Road TV, make sure you like and then go and smash that subscribe button. Because if you smash that subscribe button, Spurs will smash Newcastle tomorrow. I tell you that now. I would love it. Anyway, George,
enough of that.
Sam, thank you very much for the attendance. Join us tomorrow for the reaction show. Win, lose or draw, we'll be here. I might be on my way home back from the game, but Sam, Sean, hopefully.
Yeah, like I said, if you want, I'll do it after the game. If you want to, when you get home, it's up to you, mate. Like I said.
Cool.
I thought it was actually good when we did a little 24 hours between the West Ham and doing the reaction, because had we come on straight after that West Ham, it would have been curtains. And if we were to lose tomorrow, I don't know what's going to happen. So I'm not saying anything to anybody.
Give me a couple of hours to get back from the pub.
You know what?
It will be wild. So yeah, joining people because it could be wild, whatever. Win, lose or draw.
Do you know what? Instant reaction, right, is great. Yeah, is great because you're talking straight away after effects of a game that you've just won or lost. So you're at boiling point. If you just step back, think about it, digest it all, Don't listen to all the crap that everyone keeps going on about, and logically think about it. 24 hours later, you can come on, you're calm, you can have a good conversation, you can completely dissect it without getting angry. And I think that's what we did. And I think it was perfect. It was perfect. Right. Hey, Spurs TV, Ange needs to change it. Go 4-4-2 or something. Let's see what happens. Anyway, guys, thank you very much. Make sure you join us tomorrow for the reaction show. Hope you have a lovely Saturday. Enjoy the game tomorrow. As always, come on, you Spurs.
More developed, more developed,